AA, Sue in church. Hi, I'm Manuel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Leave me a little message. Put the hi on. I do it at the beginning because I have the tendency to forget. And when I leave, I usually don't come back. Once in a blue moon, the conversation is really, really good, and I'll watch it again a couple of times. Today's conversation, I'm going to put before this video on YouTube, not YouTube, in Facebook, this other video, and then this one, because it doesn't quite make sense without it. They were talking about, they had a young man who did a movie, okay? And I don't know if I'm going to be correct or not, but if I remember right, this person is not an American. He's using an American accent, but in reality, he's from England. And you know me, I've always had a problem with that. English people playing Americans. And to me, it's just like an annoyance. We have so many Americans looking for work, and for the industry to continuously go and hire people from another country to pretend they're us, I find that annoying, insultive, on and on and on. I could continue to put words there, and they'd be true. And here this person goes that he's talking about racism, okay? And if he really is from England, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Their country, more or less, does have a tiny amount of racism. Yes, of course, everywhere does. But in reality, racism's different here in America. Why? Because the blacks don't want to hear what the white has to say. And the whites now have condemned themselves tremendously for something that they didn't even do. And reality is that it is reverse racism. People don't see it because people don't talk about it. And that's sort of what the guys are talking about when they're watching this guy's interview with this young black girl. And they bring up things that just sort of sound so trivial, but they're still not chipping away at what they're trying to say because they're not saying it. What reality shows is that white people don't have the guts, nor the desire, nor the strength anymore to fight back. I'm Hispanic, so technically I'm not white, and that's how I see it. I'm Hispanic. And I used to be part of a group called the Barrio. And I was taught everything about my race, Hispanic people. And, you know, I really didn't have that approach by black people about what was going on to their life, because the black people I knew didn't talk about that in that way. But the moment I got older and started being more around black people and them wearing their history as a badge, and as I continued to grow as a person, that badge seemed to turn from a badge to a hindrance, and on and on and on. The difference is I'm not white, I'm Hispanic. I don't have to cover myself in that bullshit that they do. When black people throw this stupidity at me, I have the tendency not to have a dialogue because they don't want to hear. So back to me going to and working with a show group called the Barrio. They showed me the truth behind the lie. And so I was like, oh. So then, like most companies, here comes let's just put it this way, a white-collared Hispanic company who came and purchased them. They sort of got merged and devoured the Barrio. Now I'm working, which I had already dealt with Chicanos por la Causa. And not impressed. So now I'm connected to them now, working in the summer. We work with children during the day, and then at the afternoon we deal with our artistry. I was an artist then. Painting, poetry, dancing. And we've already gotten our history unpolished. And they decide for the rest of the season, let's merge two groups because we are in a large school that's not working during the summer. And we got it for free. So they bring over a group called Mars. And they're a black group. But see, and I'm going to make it very clear. They're a black artist group. And they do not discriminate. And I want to make it very clear that. Because I almost got a job with them. But I had already gotten the job with Chicanos por la Causa. So I apologized and said thank you for considering me. Because, see, it would have been interesting to learn from them. Because they have another eye view. Most people don't think the way I do. They always one road. Me, I like to go down many roads. Why? Because your talent's different than his, hers, theirs. And by getting a little bit of them, you're creating a better you. So they're sitting over there and they have this big attitude. And you have to remember, I was part of Barrio. Most of the group with me were not. I think there were just two of us. And they started the slavery thing. And I'm like, and then when the girl goes over and gets in my face, you don't know what it feels like. And I'm like, sweetheart, neither do you. The closest you got to slavery is putting on those shoes. They all just started laughing at her. She had sandals. And I said, I said, And that's the same thing I'm going to say about me, but I'm not wearing sandals. And I said that like that. Why? Because I was wearing some kind of leatherish boot. And my people are Hispanic. And from the group of people I may have been coming from, they had ranches. And they wore boots because they rode horses and they took care of their ranch. Okay? And they were there going like that. And I told them, guess what? I know about your history. And your history rolls like this. Your tribe lost to another tribe. And that tribe engulfed your people into them. But you were put as slaves, servants to that tribe. They noticed that their tribe was being engulfed by the other place. Because, see, they kept winning and they kept bringing. Win, bring. But if you keep doing that, guess what? You are no longer the majority. You're the minority. So what they decided to do was sell you to the white man. The white man weren't depict anymore as the people running through the woods or through the weeds hunting you down. They were just going to the dock and filling their boat and driving them over to America. That's the reality of the situation. I said, but for us, every time we look at this land, it's a sore spot. Why? Because they claim they purchased the land, but they threw some coins at some stranger. Now we own it. And then, after all of that, they took the people that were already in the ranches and made them slaves. They weren't black. They were Hispanic. Indians. You have to remember, Mexicans are actually Indians. It's a Mexican Indian. They're Aztec, Maya, and Inca. And what was done was, this is the line right there. And they said, we want more property. So they moved the line. They didn't move the people. People were still there. The shape had been recut. But the people were still there. So the white man moved in, enslaved the Mexicans working in their homes in land that's been theirs for hundreds of years and now isn't. Now you're a slave working your own land. We know what you're talking about, but for us, it's a little more raw. Those who know the story. So don't tell me we don't know. We know a little more, and we got more salt in our eyes. But the difference between the two of us is that we're not sharing our information with other people. We're keeping it to ourselves. We're making our people strong and ready to fight back. And which they're doing right now for the migrant workers. And they were like, and right now, here comes that whitewashed Hispanic guy. Not black, Hispanic guy. What you guys talking about? And we're having a constructive conversation, but there's always that one person that has to stop it. And the black people there from Mars, the group that I almost worked with, turn and say nothing. We're talking. We're having And see, and that's where he couldn't handle a constructive conversation. Well, do you mind if I sit and listen? And I said, yes. No, I said, no, if you sit and listen. And we talked about it. And I explained that's what we understand was what happened with us than with you. And they were like, oh, well, we never heard that, and blah, blah, blah. And one of the people there, one of the young sort of like teachers, counselors, says, oh, he's got it 100% right. And they turned to him and they said, well, why didn't you share this information with us? He says, well, that's not what this is. This is an artist. And we talked, and this guy goes over and she says, well, don't you think, and he said this to him, don't you think sharing it all and everything? And I'm the one that answered it, not him. I said, look, this is the way we should be doing it. We should make each of our own people strong on who they are and can be, and quit covering our people with all of this other information. Because you know why? There's going to be people like the person who shared the information with us, like Chicano, Charlie Chicana. And that was who that they called her. She has all that information. Like Connie, who came from Brazil. She shared her information. Her husband that was from there. And on and on, I pointed out, and I let them take over, and they pointed out stuff too. And I said, if you have a strong artistry, and then when she hears the story, she'll sit down and she'll do a beautiful art rendering of what she heard. Images that appear in her head because she's an artist. He'll do the same, but in a book. I said, and on and on and on. As long as we have people like them holding the storyline. And those people don't let people like you that want it quiet and want to bleach our storyline. And he went, I don't want to do that. Okay. But our point is the same thing. We listened and we allowed each person to talk. There was one white guy in Mars, and it was sort of funny. And in our group, we actually did have a young black guy in our group. And we asked him about his history. And did he know it? And he goes, yeah. And he says, you've heard our poems and everything. Do you think you could make a poem on what you believe and everything? And he said, yeah. And he had, and it was brilliant. But see, the point is that when you're not stifling them and pushing them down the road, they are allowed to do their brilliance. And that's what they're not talking about. Too many people trying to stifle. Too many people have a storyline and they only want their storyline to be heard. And that's it. And that's what they were trying to say there. And then they were saying, well, blah, blah, blah. You know why they don't do it? Because there's too many people ready to sue if you don't go down their road. And people like me and all these other people, whether you're black, Chinese, or whatever, we already have so many stones thrown ourselves. Why? Because we're black, and then Hispanic, Chinese, we're considered the minority. But then you find out that there's a lot of us that have another wound because we're gay, transgender, lesbian, on and on and on. And there's another wound. Why? Because Before this, it was simple. All they had to do was say, oops, it's gay. Who cares? And they could lie. Oh, she grabbed my gun and blew her brains out. Not the way that gun is pointed. You know what I mean? On and on and on. You have all these. First, you have all these people after you because of what your race is, and then you have all these people after you because you're gay. First, they can kill you without a problem because of your race. Next, they can kill you without a problem because of your orientation. And you think people really, really want to care? No. And that's why a lot of people don't talk, because they know you just want to hear yourself talk. You don't want to hear me talk. You don't want to hear my storyline. And I know it. So I don't waste my time. Whether it's wrong or not, that's reality. Only once in a blue moon, a good conversation is going on, and I'll participate. But most of the time, no, ain't gonna happen. But what do you think? Do you think we will allow everybody to talk? Because I know we don't allow the white man to talk. It's because you don't want to hear the N word. I don't want to hear any of those other words. But it's okay for all of us to call them crackers. Hey, cracker. You cracker. And we get away with it. But should we be able to get away with it? No. And that's how one-sided this conversation has always been and probably always will be. What do you think? Watch that video before and watch this and see what you get. What do you think? Leave a message. Or tell me another conversation you'd like me to talk about. And remember to subscribe to my channel. Put the hand up. And remember, AA, see you in church.